listening to the White Wall Sessions Radio.
White Wall Breakdown, take 1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to the White Wall Sessions Radio. I'm your host, Steve Zastro. On this week's episode, Minneapolis-based band The Thirsty River with their take on modern Midwest folk, the northern Minnesota folk stylings of Pushing Chain. Also later in the hour, the songs of Chicago-based singer-songwriter Ryan Joseph Anderson. To hear more on these artists, as well as other artists featured on the program, visit www.thewhitewallsessions.com. The Thirsty River is a 5-piece string band from Minneapolis, Minnesota. The band is Jake Youngbauer on guitar and vocals, Evan Youngbauer on banjo and vocals, Mike Storr on bass and vocals, Ben Youngbauer on percussion, mandolin, and vocals, and David Anderson on piano, washboard, and vocals. The group blends bluegrass and Americana to create their own take on the modern Midwest folk rock movement. The Thirsty River has one album released to date, April 2015's The St. Croix Sessions.
With an old cigar and a dollar bill, he made to head out west. Had a broke down ranch from his family bequest. He heard 1,000 lines from an old myth told. On a path unpaved with blood was a fear in his eyes, shadowed by a desperate flood. Well, he ain't got nothing, but he don't wanna give it up. Well, he ain't got nothing, but he don't wanna give it up. He met an old blind preacher with a message to give to a man falling off the tracks. Threw gas on the fire that was dying in his chest. He said, look here, son, I may not see, but I can feel the presence here of a good man lost with a crime-filled history. Well, I ain't got nothing, but I don't wanna give it up. Well, I ain't got nothing, but I don't wanna give it up.
All right, once again, we're back here tonight with Thirsty River from the Twin Cities. And they're a 5-piece acoustic band with some awesome harmonies. That's a real striking feature of your guys' sound. Rather than trying to remember everyone's name, I'm going to have Jake Youngbauer introduce each person in the band for us, please.
Cool. So I'm Jake, like you said, and this is Evan Youngbauer on banjo, Mike Storr on bass, Ben Youngbauer on mandolin, and he occasionally will play the washboard. And then we got our percussion specialist / keys player, David Anderson.
And harmonica.
The utility
guy.
guy.
And harmonica too, yeah.
Utility guy.
Yeah.
Utility guy.
And Jake, you're the guitar player.
Yes, and I'm the guitar player.
All right, cool. So first of all, I think it's a really cool name for the band. Who came up with the name, and is there any special significance to Thirsty River?
I'm actually from Hudson, Wisconsin. The rest of these guys are from the Twin Cities, or that's where I live now. Obviously, we grew up together being brothers, but I live by the river, and we used to jam and drink, and it honestly is as simple as
you're making it sound more complicated
and
than
river. That's pretty much it. And I guess we stuck with that name because it reminded us not to take it too seriously and always kind of have a good time with it. So that's what we try to do.
You struggled a little bit over picking that one, though, huh?
Yeah, we did. We wanted to
changed
change our name
quite a
like
few
8 times, and then
What else did you have?
we actually switched to that River and I try to be really artsy and end with like that River and I.
That River
and
and
then
I.
everybody just kept calling us
We had the
Thirsty
ampersand in
River
there and everything. It was
and
really
so we're
cool.
like, well, I mean,
I think it was actually me. I wasn't even in the band yet, and I was like, the Thirsty River is so much better than that River and I.
Yeah.
Don't change it.
It actually, that's how we knew you were
Yeah.
meant to be.
That-
It was an
Yeah.
it was an homage to a Woody Guthrie lyric.
Yeah,
yes, it was. That is how I got that River and I. I was like, oh, it's close.
Jake
but
took credit.
yeah. All right, fair enough. Evan,
you didn't really.
we were struggling over it, and he.
Jake and I used to text back and forth at work, and the threads would be like 1,000 messages long. It's an exaggeration.
Of band names.
Probably actually 80 of potential band names a day.
You wouldn't
And
believe
then
how
we
many
just-
were already taken. I came up with like 80 that were already taken, but good. But anyways,
Just none of them were as
so
We digress.
Thirsty River was not taken, though.
no, it wasn't.
That's pretty cool.
No kidding, yeah.
right
I'll
on.
take it.
The
It
only
is like a guild war in World of Warcraft.
yeah, the only thing online that's
Something with World of Warcraft,
more
yeah.
views than us on the Thirsty River, or more clicks or whatever, is a level on Guild Wars, and we're really working to.
Well, that's not too nerdy or anything.
no, we didn't name it after that.
That
but
is not what we're named after.
There's like 50
Good. I'm glad you
tutorials
cleared
on
that
it.
up.
Clear the air on that.
All right. How about this then? How about how did you guys arrive at this current lineup? Obviously, the brothers played together when you were younger.
Yep.
And how'd you find these other two guys?
Why don't you?
Well, yeah, so Jake was freshman dorms, college roommates with Mike here. Mike's the bass player. And so they were buddies back then. Jake would play guitar and Mike would play bass or whatever together, hanging out. And when we started to really kind of take pride in the songs we were writing, we figured we needed a bass player. And that's when we reached out to the best bass player we knew, Mike.
Yeah, the only bass player you knew, I think.
No, we know a couple.
He said best. That's
Couple.
Well,
No.
and the best, yeah.
It can be both.
Yeah,
the only
exactly.
and the best.
And that really worked out well. And Mike has a cool, distinct style for a string band. He kind of has a lot more influence from, what would you say, like a rock band?
Yeah, I played a lot of just garage bands, I guess.
Yeah, Mike played in some other bands
like
before,
some
so
punk,
he's-
rock, all that kind of stuff.
So for our radio listeners, you're not playing an upright bass. You're playing like a guitar style.
Yep, yeah, it's
Four-string bass.
acoustic electric
Acoustic
bass, I
electric.
guess, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then David was one of Ben's college roommates, actually. And they used to do basically the same thing we did to start as a band. They would sit around campfires or whatever, drink beer, and jam and have a good time. And so David was just a clear fit when we kind of decided, there's something missing. We could use, initially it was washboard and other percussion, and David's also a really talented piano player, so we couldn't resist.
And he also did play in some other bands too. So
So what college did this take place at?
David and I went to University of Minnesota Duluth.
yep.
Yeah, and Jake and I were from
And
UW
Mike and I
Stout.
went to Stout. Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
Wisconsin, obviously.
Very
UW Stout
cool.
in Menominee.
Huge town.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of all just it worked itself out. Obviously, the connection with the brothers was probably how we, started, and then needed to add a few more to the lineup. And
Well, I guess a good summary of how to put it is that it's basically been an outlet for something to do for a group of friends here to hang out
and the band is just kind of
That's really what it mainly has been.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something to do
normal
once a
night would
week,
be us getting
get together
together.
and jam and drink
Yeah.
beer and hang out.
A lot of beer involved. Oh.
What year was it when you guys, this lineup solidified?
I think 2 years ago, probably.
One year.
Just
one year
last
with
year.
David.
It was St. Patty's Day last year.
With
Really?
David.
March.
Yep. The four of us were probably 3, and then
Yep.
David was added last year.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it was a couple
so
years
his
ago.
band kind of slowed down. His other band that he was in, and then we picked him up. So
Snagged me off
Took him
waivers.
off the waiver wire.
Yeah.
Off the waiver wire.
Free agent. Yeah. After that.
Highwayman, steady hand. Can't you see I'm calling? Long smile with goodbye. Hate to say it, but it's true that I relate to you. So lose that time. No more lies, no expectations. That's how we get by. Pinning down, at least this town. Carry on, man. I know you do, 'cause I relate to you. Hear that banjo as it plays, taking you through time to simpler days, simpler days. But I can't stay, so I'll be on my way. Highwayman, take my hand, lead me to the promised land. Highwayman, take my hand, lead me to the promised land. Thanks, guys.
Pushing Chain is a folk Americana duo from northern Minnesota. The pair is Boyd Bump Blomberg on guitar and vocals and Adam Moe on fiddle and vocals. Blomberg's storyteller folk style is accentuated by Moe's emotional fiddle playing and strong harmonies. Pushing Chain has 2 albums released to date. Their first album, Some Songs We Know, and 2014's self-titled release.
Well, the working man's mistreated, and the poor man, I can't even say what you gonna love to me, babe. Oh, why don't treat me this way? They say you'll $10 bill. And I know I'll never find loving the way I found it with you. Well, I ramble and I've wandered up and down this rocky road. Just need one more precious day, too weary to carry this load. They say you'll never find Jesus on the back of a $10 bill. And I know I'll never find loving the way I found it with you. Well, I'm broke down with hard luck and busted, like a drunkard's last dying breath. I can't go on living without you. Heartache, a fate worse than death. They say you'll never find Jesus on the back of a $10 bill. And I know I'll never find loving the way I found it with you. They say you'll never find Jesus on the back of a $10 bill. And I know I'll never find loving the way I found it with you. Yes, the way I found it with you.
Once again, tonight we're here with Pushing Chain from northern Minnesota. And it's Boyd Blomberg on guitar and Adam Moe on fiddle. And once again, thanks for coming in, guys.
Thank
and
you for having
thank you.
us.
sharing
So
some wonderful
cool.
music with us.
Very cool.
All right, let's start at the beginning. How did you guys end up hooking up as a duo here?
Well, Match.com was
FarmersOnly.com.
ChristianMingle.com.
He jokes. 1997, I was playing in a friend's wedding, and we had got together once in Adam's living room, and I asked my friends, can I bring this fiddle player along I've played with? And I didn't tell them only once. And we played a lot for the first, up until about 2001 or 2, and then Adam and his wife moved from Grand Marais, Minnesota on the North Shore down to Chicago for about 10 years. His parents still live up in Grand Marais. And so we get to play about 20 times a year, I suppose, together. But over the last, whatever it's been,
4 years?
17 years, we've played, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500 gigs together, 1,500, I bet. In the last 3-4 years, we've really been hitting it here.
Yeah.
A couple hundred times a year.
Right. Do you guys, well, I should ask you guys both separately this. One thing I like to ask. Did you have a musical family when you grew up, or did you get into music a little later in life?
It jumped generations. I had, my maternal grandfather was like the choir director in a little Presbyterian church. And then and played a little accordion as well. And my paternal grandfather played some banjo in a dance band in the 30s. And other than that, no.
I'm kind of the same story. My parents didn't do a lot of music. They listened to music.
My dad, once a year, would whip out his accordion and play the beer barrel polka, and then he'd put it away.
I bet you guys looked forward to that every year.
Well, yeah, it was generally, if we were bad that year, we got that for Christmas.
Yeah.
Hi, Dad. And then, but my grandfather and my grandmother both played violin, actually. I never heard them play, but...
Hardunger.
Well, they had one, but he
You know what a
played...
hardunger fiddle is?
Is that like the dance?
It's got
master's
8
fiddle?
strings.
It's got sympathetic strings
Sympathetic
underneath.
strings under the fingerboard.
Scandinavian deal.
I can't play it, but I've got one. It was Grandpa's. So yeah, again, it kind of skipped a generation, and that's all there is to that, I guess.
So when did you actually get involved with actually playing music yourself then, Adam?
Second grade, I started. Mom asked if I wanted to try to play the fiddle, and I said sure, because I didn't know any better, you know. I didn't know it would ruin my life.
There you go.
You should have known. Someone should have warned you.
Yeah, they should have
Right,
warned
right.
me, music,
It's
you know.
all down,
But
yeah.
I just went, it wasn't really lessons. I hung around with a guy. He would play a song, I'd play it back to him, and in a couple of weeks, we started playing out. So it was, I've always played by ear.
Right. Would you consider it fiddle style as opposed to formal violin?
Well, it's certainly
type
not
playing?
formal, because
Okay.
I don't
Put cheap
read.
music in front of him, it looks like an ant farm,
Yeah,
man.
I don't read, I don't do anything like that, but, you know, I can play various things.
He's
It's
got
just-
what the jazz players call big ears. He hears it, and he can play it.
I resent that.
All right, Boyd, how about you? When did you actually start getting into playing an instrument?
I was in high school. I saw the last waltz when I was 16, and it changed my life. And then in my teens, I was seeing, I saw the Grateful Dead play 80 sometimes, so that informs what I do, along with a bunch of Dylan and Neil Young shows dozens of times. But I was also seeing Willie Nelson at the State Fair. And we were just talking, I saw Johnny Cash play 3 times in the 80s. And
One of them was a Christmas show, though,
one
so
was,
it didn't really
didn't
count.
right? But Marty Stewart was there. And, you know, Arlo Guthrie and Pete Seeger show. So I always had this folk bent going as well, in addition to everything else. And then when I was 19, my high school band called the Goonie Birds, we were playing, and all of a sudden it kind of became something. And then I found I was playing 250 nights a year, traveling around the country, which was great. You know, it was a lot of fun. So I spent from about 1987, 88 to 94, 95, playing in a rock and roll band, which was something. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was really surprised when you told me earlier that you were in the Goonie Birds, because I actually saw you guys play many times in this area. Well, at least like 3 or 4 different times.
Right. None of us remember.
Yeah, right. I remember the name.
Right.
I remember the venue.
You played at my college once.
We did. We played at Gus Davis.
I said, one day I'm going to play music with that guy.
So I forewent to university education to be on the road playing music, and it was a lot of fun. That's for sure.
Right. And Adam, you said you've been in Sioux Falls too. You used to do kind of a radio show, and you guys did a performance at the Washington Pavilion.
Yeah, we were at the Washington Pavilion. I honestly couldn't tell you what year, but it was, we used to do old-time radio. Had a traveling troupe, went and did a show at the Pavilion. It was fun.
Adam's
Big room.
ridiculously talented.
Cut it
He
out.
writes. He's an actor, radio guy. I mean, he's what do you do? Embroidering.
Yeah, I do embroidering.
And he's been like published in these books with, I mean, seriously. In addition to this fiddling and singing, he's one of the best harmony singers. Is the best I've ever sang with. He can just bam.
Well, thank you.
Well, that's one thing that's very much stands out when you listen to you guys play. Your harmonies are just incredibly tight. But I imagine after, like you said, you guys have played 1,500, 2,000 shows or whatever. That's a lot of rehearsing, getting the parts down.
Well, the shows are the rehearsals.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How can we leave this place rarely seen? Now we're back home, what we love, like to stay. After you left, I guess I'd be right in saying It's so lonely between the teardrops, like we're downstream from what's meant to be. I'm so lonely between the teardrops. He's got you, it's lonely teardrops for me. Now can a peacock be prouder for knowing a life examined if just for today? I'm back in Nashville, that ain't Kansas City, and no Norbelinas where no signs lead the way. It's so lonely between the teardrops, like we're downstream from what's meant to be. I'm so lonely between the teardrops. He's got you, it's lonely teardrops for me. It's so lonely between the teardrops, like we're downstream from what's meant to be. I'm so lonely between the teardrops. He's got you, it's lonely teardrops for me. He's got you, it's lonely teardrops for me.
Thanks a lot.
Ryan Joseph Anderson is a singer-songwriter from Chicago. His history of fronting rock and roll bands around the Chicago area transposed seamlessly into his current songwriting approach, filling his music with power typically not seen from an acoustic-based performer. Ryan was joined by Jen Donahue with her lovely voice singing harmonies on the day of his White Wall session. Ryan Joseph Anderson has one album released to date, 2014's The Weaver's Broom.
Brother had seen the night in the eyes of the enemy, scarred and bored, lit up like a dime. My welcome home came with no song, never been much of a lauded man. Told me I'd find you in trees we used to climb in, spun around like a weather vane. Before I let you down, you threw me your crown and said, I must be one of the lucky ones, one of the lucky ones. I dreamed that I'd live my life in the arms of the enemy, starved and bored, swept up in the tide. There's Queen Anne's lace on the floor by a vase. Never been much of a patient man. Sat on the stoop in our grandfather's suit, and I watched you sweep leaves off the balcony. Before I let you down, you threw me your crown and said, I must be one of the lucky ones, one of the lucky ones. When lightning struck the roof and split the walls, you had your proof. That's how it feels to take the first real punch of a shadow boxer. All the years we used to bleed, I don't recall, but I believe it's what it takes to face the first real punch of a shadow boxer. Long before I let you down, I stole your name, I wore your crown. Now I'm here to take the first real punch of a shadow boxer. Brother, I live my life in the arms of the enemy. Thanks, Jim.
Let's do it. Okay, once again, we're here tonight on the White Wall Sessions with Ryan Joseph Anderson from Chicago. And again, thank you for coming in and sharing some great music with us.
Thanks for having me.
And you also had your singing partner with you tonight, Jen Donahue.
She's my partner in so many things.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been a team here?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. No, we've been together for 9 years. So in some places that would make her my common law.
It would, wouldn't it?
Which she loves me to say. No, she doesn't. But yeah, she only started singing with me about 2 years ago. And the best thing about having Jen involved is that I have a free artist in residency. So she sings with me, and she does all my album artwork and T-shirt designs.
Okay.
And my
That's very
tattoos.
cool.
Yeah.
Really? Tattoos even?
Awesome. Hey, it's a good arrangement we have here.
You got a long sleeve coat on there today. Are you all sleeved up, or you just got a few choice tattoos?
I've got a few. I've got like I got some sleeves, some half sleeves, and then some stuff on my forearm. Jen learned to tattoo on my arm. It was painful. Don't ever do that. Don't ever let somebody who's saying like, "Hey, I'm trying to learn how to tattoo," and go, "Oh, I got these. I got arms." Dig in, because they will dig in.
Yeah, I'll bet. All right, so you're from Chicago, native. How long have you been playing music? Did you grow up in a musical family, or did you play a little later?
I grew up in a pretty musical family. My mom sang. My dad was a huge music fan, so it was just always on. There was always stuff being played in the house. And from a pretty young age, I knew that that's what I wanted to do.
Did you guys have vinyl records in the house?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I remember the day that Paul Simon's Graceland came out. And for months, it was just flipping sides of that. And then the next big memory I have is the band's Last Waltz being on PBS and us taping it on the VHS.
Right.
And then playing that all the time.
I often wonder if there's ever been more talent on a stage at one time than that night. I mean,
it's tough.
Influential talent.
Yeah.
You know.
My favorite story from that night, that I think this is in Levon Helm's book, but there's a story about Neil Diamond singing that song, that Dry Your Eyes song, and he walks backstage, and backstage it's like Neil Young and Muddy Waters and everybody who was there. Joni Mitchell, and Neil Diamond walks back with his sunglasses, and he just tells everybody, "That's how it's done."
All right.
The diamond.
He was not lacking in
It
confidence.
was, yeah,
then,
not,
was he?
no, or tinted sunglasses.
Absolutely.
He had both of those things.
There's actually a guy here in town, Hippie Chris, that was there that night.
Really?
He was telling us how when they got there that day, they fed him dinner before the music, and then, like 14 hours later, the sun was rising, and they fed him breakfast on their way out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he's got a lot of stories about those days. But so when did you actually start playing an instrument yourself? And was the guitar always your first instrument?
No, I started playing piano when I was really young, but kind of the old piano lessons where a really mean lady hit my hands with a ruler, and I was like, why am I doing this? This is terrible. It hurts. But then when I was, I think in 5th grade, somewhere around there, I realized that guitar was an option. I saw somebody my age play the guitar, and I was like, I hadn't even thought that was a thing I could do. And I went home and asked my mom, and I haven't put it down since.
That was the end of your piano career, too?
No, I still play piano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I still play piano, only Jen gets to hit me now.
So can you read music pretty well from that lessons, or is that not something you picked up?
No, the only thing I retained was pain. That's the only thing I remember from those early lessons.
Well, I'm glad it didn't put you off music completely.
No, not at all.
Because I know for a fact that bad music teachers have put people off of whatever instrument because it just sucks taking lessons from them. Didn't want anything to do with it,
It put me off of Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Okay.
She really liked Phantom of the Opera a lot.
Right.
Yeah. When you're a little kid, you don't want to learn Phantom of the Opera on piano. You want to play something that rocks.
Right.
She would not let me. She said, "What's Green Day Dookie?" I said, "You don't get anything."
Yeah, not a good match there.
No,
obviously.
And a terrible thing to bring your piano teacher.
Yeah.
Can we play Green Day on the piano? No, of course not.
So after you've been playing the guitar for a while, when did you start playing in groups?
Immediately.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a matter of days in that I asked if I could get a guitar. We rented a guitar from the shop. I told my 2 buddies, whoa, guys, big things are happening. One did the same thing, went home, asked about a bass, and the other, his dad had drums. And 2 weeks later, we were flying spinach.
Is that right? Flying spinach.
Flying spinach.
What was your first gig? Do you remember?
Oh, the basement with friends.
Right.
Yeah, the basement with friends over, and them all smiling awkwardly, trying to act like, no, you guys are good. You good? This is a thing. You're good. It was terrible.
Did you have enough guts to even face the crowd? I know my first gig, I just faced the drummer all night.
Oh, I faced the crowd.
I mean?
I faced the crowd in a big way. Yeah, I had all the moves, but none of the talent.
Okay, so did you start writing your own songs right away at that point too, or did you do a lot of punk covers first?
A lot of covers, but yeah, I think I wanted to write pretty much right away. That's always been the thing for me. Some people kind of pick up the guitar and they want to learn riffs and they want to learn songs and they want to learn covers and they want to get it done perfectly. And when I realized that I could write my own nonsense, that was it. And I wrote a lot of really bad songs for a long time, but I just learned so much through, I don't know, I think my favorite musicians have always been the ones that you can tell they have something to say and they can't help but get it out. Please don't weep, Caroline. Send a letter home just as soon as you can find the time. Be it gold, or a hammer that you hold. May the story stay untold. Her body's grown too eager to be known. Weep, Caroline. Weep, Caroline. Sign your name with no regret. Not every letter home needs to hold but I'll get red. Being equal, being blood of harvest or a flood. When a tree outgrows the wood, its branches shed their leaves to kiss the mud. We Caroline, we Caroline. She traced the crack in the mirror, and no comb could touch her hair. Just studies dust in the air, and this father's head hangs down. This father's head hangs down. Please don't weep, Caroline. Send a letter home just as soon as you can find the time. When it's done, when it's done, when a ribbon wraps the sun, where she curves what she has won. Oh, let your memory burn until it's gone. We Caroline, we Caroline.
To hear more on these artists, as well as other artists featured on the program, visit www.thewhitewallsessions.com. Whitewall Sessions Radio is produced by Spectrum Films. Executive producers are Doug Taylor and Jeff Zuger. Director of broadcast is Dave Palmer. Whitewall Sessions Radio is produced and mixed by Chad Conrad. I'm your host, Steve Zastro. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to join us next week, same time, same station.
You are listening to the Whitewall Sessions Radio.